Welcome to the Positively Portugal Football Report for round 27. My name is Howie, and oh my goodness, do we have football to talk about, not just in the Primeira Liga, but we had the semifinals of the Taça, and we have some major news breaking out of Braga. But we're going to start with the Primeira Liga this time. Famalicão over Gil Vicente 2-1. Benfica barely got by Chaves at home 1-0. Sporting squeaked by Estrela 2-1. Aruca over Firenze 2-1. Vitória beat Moreirense 1-0. Boa Vista and Rio Ave played to a scoreless draw. Estoril with the upset of the week, beating Porto 1-0. Casa Pia destroyed Vizela 4-0 there. That was surprising just because of how hard Vizela had been fighting. They had been getting points here and there and getting pretty close to moving out of the relegation zone. And Braga with a 5-3 win over Portimonense. So we also had the semifinals of the Taça de Portugal, the second leg in Benfica versus Sporting, and the first leg of Vitória versus Porto. So Tuesday we had a 2-2 draw, Sporting and Benfica, in just a wild game. It was as intense as you can get. 4 goals were scored in 17 minutes. Morten Hjulmand opened up the scoring for Sporting in the 47th minute. 5 minutes later was Nicolas Otamendi tying the game for Benfica before Paulinho gave Sporting the lead back 3 minutes after that. And then Rafa Silva, 9 minutes later, made it 2-2. And for about the next 10 minutes or so after that, Benfica was really pressing hard, and it looked like they were going to get that go-ahead goal, but the attack just fizzled out. Sporting held on. The game ended in a 2-2 draw, and as a result, because of their win at the Alvalade, Sporting advances to the final. They're going to play the winner of Vitória versus Porto, which for some reason is only in the first leg. The first leg now complete. And the second leg isn't until April 17th. I guess that's the date, or maybe that's the tentative date. Who knows? I don't know why they were so far behind. But in that game today, Porto won 1-0 in Guimarães on a goal by the other Pepe, not the legend Pepe. But I don't think that's really much of a surprise. I think Porto was expected to win. They are expected to go through to the final. And really, that's all that they have left to fight for, because they just had a complete debacle in the league this weekend. Now, the other piece of news that we have here, Artur Jorge, the manager of Braga, has stepped down. With 7 games left in the season, they are in a European spot in 4th place. They're in the Conference League, and as a result of Porto's latest slip-up, they're only 2 points behind Porto for the Europa League spot. And the manager walks out? And let me tell you a little bit about Artur Jorge. This is a man who played 274 matches at the senior level. Guess what? 273 of them were for Braga. This was the club of his life, and he's even managed Braga twice now. And Artur Jorge, with 7 games left in the season, walks away from the club of his life, betrays them, stabs them in the back, and goes all the way to Brazil to manage Botafogo? I mean, what? You're not talking about Flamengo or Fluminense here. This is Botafogo. You don't betray the club of your life, who you have in a European spot, and only 2 points behind Porto for a better European competition. To walk away like that What kind of a man are you, Artur Jorge? You are absolute scum. This is disgusting. He was bought for only 2 million euros. Well, guess what? Braga's not hurting for money. As much as they would like you to believe that they are, they aren't. Remember, 30% of Braga is owned by the same oil money that owns PSG. Braga is not in any financial despair whatsoever. And I get the whole philosophy. Well, if somebody doesn't want to be there, if he doesn't want to manage the team and he's going to quit, why don't you just take the money? You know what? I can't argue against that. I don't think Braga did anything wrong here by letting Jorge go. But my whole problem here is with Jorge. What kind of an absolute scumbag is this guy? How do you betray the club of your life at the end of the season? Now, I know Brazil is on a different schedule. Their league actually starts next month. But hey, you know what? If Botafogo was that convinced that Artur Jorge is the man for them, you know what? They could have waited. I don't think Botafogo, as much as they're not Fluminense or Flamengo, they're not in any danger of being relegated. I'm absolutely speechless. I can, you know what? I can't understand betraying a club, but I certainly cannot understand betraying the club of your life. Well, it's been a busy week in Portuguese football. It's great to have the Primeira Liga back, the Taça, that international break in March, at the end of March. That's a bit much. I get that Euros are coming, but you know what? Portugal's, they've clinched their spot in the Euro. This was a little unnecessary. Thankfully, no major injuries took place, especially thankfully that nothing happened to Cristiano Ronaldo. And yeah, it's such a pessimistic take, but look what goes on with other clubs. Real Madrid, for example, Eduardo Mendy got injured again. This is the second time this season that he's been injured on international duty with France. So everyone in Portugal, it looks like they've dodged a bullet. And that's going to be the final international break of the season. The big thing to look forward to in round 28 of the Primeira Liga, the 4 clubs that competed in the semifinals of the Taça are now playing each other in the league. We have another Lisbon derby, Sporting versus Benfica. This one is at the Alvalade. And we have Porto versus Vitória. The Taça game was in Guimarães. This one is in Porto. So what are the chances of that happening? It's going to be a wild weekend for the Primeira Liga. If Sporting comes away with a win, you could pretty much wrap up that league, because the only major test that they'll have left after that is going to be against Porto. So if you're into an intense finish, you kind of want Benfica to at least come away with a draw here, but we will see what happens. I think Benfica is going to come away with at least a draw. I think they're going to be pretty pissed off with not advancing to the final of the Taça against Sporting of all clubs. And, look, they are the defending champion. They have everything to defend, everything to play for. They're still not out of anything. So we're going to wrap this up here. I want to thank you for watching as always. And until next time, my name is Howie. Have a great day. Okay, there's a couple of corrections that I have to make here. I called Eduardo Camavinga Eduardo Mendy. I don't know how I did that. What kind of a Real Madrid fan am I? And I also forgot to give away the awards for the week. The team of the week, no question there, Estoril, beating Porto. Pretty much securing that they're gonna not get relegated. And the biggest loser of the week has got to be Portimonense. This team is just lifeless. They're dead in the water with everything going on around Braga with Artur Jorge. To just not come away with a point at home, it's bleak. And even if they manage to not outright get relegated, I don't see how they're going to win the relegation playoff. So with the standings, we still have Sporting on top, Benfica right behind them, Porto behind them, and Braga in fourth place in the Conference League. The relegation zone is still Vizela and Chaves. Vizela took quite a hit there. I thought they were going to grab a point against Casapia. I was not expecting Casapia to beat them 4-0. And Portimonense in that relegation playoff, they're now 3 points away from moving out of that. So, again, not looking good in Portimao. But now this time, I really mean it. I will see you next week.